Morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry that I was gone yesterday. I hope you guys did have fun without me. I did have. I didn't have fun yesterday, but I did something productive. I did go to the VA or the VSO Veteran Service Office to try to get my neck and shoulder added to my jacket. Unfortunately, it's the kind of thing like it's first come, first serve, which I think is incredibly silly that they can't set appointments. But apparently, if they set appointments, then they get booked out for months and months and months on end. And then not just that, but basically, even as it was, I literally spent the entire day there. I showed up at 9. I got redirected to another office. I stayed there until 1 p.m. Then I got redirected to another office. Then I finally met with somebody at like 2 or 3. Then they told me to go back to one of the previous offices that I had been to in order to get some paperwork. And then I got that paperwork, and then I went back to them. And luckily enough, they had a little break between their meetings in order to take a look at the paperwork. And then once they looked at the paperwork, they told me the game plan. And then the game plan is now reliant on me going and getting some more paperwork from more people. So, but that's pretty much what I expect out of the VA is the part of the reason why a lot of people don't deal with them. Yes, just like the DMV. Yeah, part of the reason why a lot of people don't like dealing with them, and they'll literally just like not, they'll just not even deal with what they need to deal with, is because of this process where basically have to get the left hand to talk to the right hand, and it's a pain in the ass to get anything done. But I did take the first steps, so it is what it is. And I am going to be leaving around noon today. It's going to be a little bit of an early day, but instead of doing Valor Reacts, I will be going to get a coffee with a friend, and then I will be going to pick up my kids. So, just sharing on the personal front, obviously last week was a tough week, but I mourned what I needed to mourn, and I was sad about what I needed to be sad about. On Wednesday, I went to a group dinner that was really fun. I met some new people, just friends, nothing romantic, but the still fun to meet new people and hang out and yap and all that kind of crap. And then on yesterday, I went and hung out with girl space friend, platonically, but we had an awesome time. Basically, we were just talking shit. She was talking shit about her relationships and her life. I was talking shit about my relationships and my life, and made a bunch of silly jokes and had a good time. And it was great. It was great to catch up with a friend like that. And then today, the coffee date is with a Brazilian woman who may or may not have romantic interest in me, but we're having like a chill date because we're both like older, I suppose. She's 40, I'm in my late 30s. And so we'll see how that goes. So no pressure on anything. Obviously, I'm still coming out of my mess. But getting out there and hanging out with people and just yapping and drinking alcohol and or caffeine is not a bad way to be. Then I got to go pick up the kids because it's my weekend with the kids. Solidus says, good morning. Randy Chang says, happy Friday, nerds. True. Solidus says, what's up, Randy? What up, Solidus? Sounds like the DMV. It was. Sun Patriarch says, holy shit, early. Yeah, it's because I know that I'm leaving early as well. So sorry for setting your expectations up for failure. The paperwork journey, hot coffee, yes. Third like reporting in. Remember, live chat is better than top chat. I did switch over to live chat and I did set a goal. Beef Supreme says, good morning. Good morning to you. Solida says, do it. Well, we'll see. We'll see. No pressure. I texted, Dan Pace texted me this morning, probably in anticipation of us doing the TV show or doing the Valor React show. And then I told him, like, hey, do you care if I ditch you to go on a coffee date with a Brazilian woman? And he's like, number one, I would be mad if you didn't do that. Number two, be careful. As a guy from 7th Group who served in South America, America or women from the Southern Hemisphere can be quite dangerous. So we'll see how that shakes out. Now, let me take a look. So for me, yes. So for me, I want to, how do I phrase this? I wanted to take a look at Lance Twiggs's. Everyone wish Anonymous Chatter happy birthday. Happy birthday, Anonymous Chatter. Are you there? If you're there, I'll sing to you. Happy birthday. But what was I thinking? I was thinking what I wanted to do, Ryan Mullally covered the Charlie Kirk shooter. We don't have to cover Charlie Kirk's shooter via Ryan Mullally. We can do our own coverage. But what I thought was very interesting, unless you guys have some specific thing that you want to take a look at, like we could look at Brad Palumbo going off on Scott Jennings on CNN. We could take a look at Chris Cappy going over the intermediate drone warfare that's leading to Crimea collapsing. We could go over a few other things. But the thing that I wanted to go over was Lance Twiggs' testimony. This is, I think it's Tyler Robinson's trans boyfriend, and they're doing their fucking their deposition, and so the reason why I would be interested in that is because effectively it's like this should be destroying a substantial amount of the conspiracy theorists. And by the way, I'm friends with some lefty conspiracy theorists. Some fucking Sneeko versus Alex Jones. I mean, I would do that. I have a theory on where the defense is going. Tell me more. Son Pedro X says, I'm glad you're doing better. Booby Bear, you deserve happiness. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, QC John says, good morning, girl hottest. May your girl stay hot. May your beer stay cold. May you keep all your fingers while blowing things up. Amen. 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 Grill Shallah and Grill Salam Alaikum, indeed. Happy birthday, Moose, you ancient fucker. Is he here? I don't see him. I see Grassroots talking about it, but I don't see Anonymous in chat yet. I don't want to sing if he's not here. So, anyways, let me I guess I'll start a poll real quick. As you know, I fucking love democracy. So, content question mark. We could do Nuxtaku versus Candace Owens. I know that sounds horrible, but it is about the murder trial. We could do Lance Twiggs murder testimony. We could do Brad Palumbo CNN debate. And then a secret fourth option, which I don't even know yet. I would just need to be bullied in chat about what the content is. So there you go. If you want to vote, if you want to complain about the content via a democratic vote, then here's a democratic vote. Oh. Beef Stream says people didn't like it, but they are going to OJ glove right now a 223 bullet found on the roof behind Tyler. Yeah, sure. But, you know, if it's fired or unfired or whatever, that's I don't think that's going to overcome the, like, if it's an unfired 223, then that very easily could be. I don't know how Tyler Robinson does things. But, like, I literally have, like, an ammo bag that is that has all of the ammo of, like, mixed rounds in a fucking Ziploc. And so when I'm grabbing all my shit, Like, it's perfectly possible that I grab, like, fucking a bunch of 308, but then I accidentally grab a 5.56. I jam it in my fucking pocket while I'm going to fucking, murk Charlie Kirk, So, I don't know. I don't think that's gonna do very much. Secret geopole memes? No! No, Arthur, your brain is too serious for this. You must endorse the slop. Endorse the slop. Silver says someone call a wellness check. This motherfucker hopped on at 9:29. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm here because I'm doing quite well. So once again, for those of you who are just jumping in on the personal stuff, I did go out with a friend last night, and she's a long-term friend. We've been friends for like 20 years. We actually dated in high school, but it was a platonic friend date. And basically, we just like hung out and yapped, and she got to bitch about her personal life. I got to bitch about my personal life. We got to commiserate on our own failings and the failings of our partners. And then we got to make like really crass jokes. And it was a good time, man. It was a good time. So there's something to be said for like hanging out with people without putting too much pressure on expectations and then just having fun. So we had a good time. That's terrorism. True. And he's leading innocent, so I'm spitballing the defense. Sure. What if you mix up 5.56 and 300 blackout, then you blow up your gun? It's probably bad that the door to my car is essentially a bullet junk drawer at this point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So like, if Tyler Robinson grabbed all his fucking grandpa's hunting gear, had random ammo shit, and there was an unfired 223 that was in his pocket that fell out of his pocket while he was getting into position to murk Charlie Kirk, that doesn't change very much for me at all. It might change something for an idiot, but it wouldn't change anything for me. So, secret option is counterpoints reacting to the Legion of Coom. I would really prefer not to. Conserve says the problem is he wrote on the shell casings that he brought with him. He didn't just stick his hand in a 5-gallon bucket of random ammo. Yeah. But that's the ammo that was inside the magazine, so that would be the stuff that he loaded, right? Who doesn't organize their shit? Plenty of people. Yeah. Grassroots says actually my entire house is a bullet junk drawer. Yes. Arthur says I will not embrace slop. I will mildly tolerate it. Well, there we go. NCR or Legion? For me, I got to go NCR, bro. I got to go NCR. It's not because I don't appreciate the Legion, but the Legion has this whole barbarian, low-tech LARP bullshit that's kind of annoying, whereas the NCR is actually trying to reestablish, like, 20th century civilization. So while I appreciate the aesthetics and command structure of the Legion, I would rather actually fight for a faction that was trying to reestablish 20th century republicanism rather than what would it be, like 0 AD fucking Roman Empire bullshit. Old School says Connor doesn't need a girlfriend right now. Connor needs to focus on Connor. That's relatively true. But, I think we all like a smoochy kiss every now and then. Connor is Brotherhood of Steel. No, I only picked between the two options, but I would 100%. I would 100% go Brotherhood of Steel every single time. They're actually like a combo culturally of the Mechanicus and the fucking Mechanicus and Astartes. They're literally a combo of two Warhammer 40k factions that I like both of. So, it's not whether or not it changes something for you. It's about raising doubt. Yeah, for sure. Any weapons in the car? Yes, but I don't think any of them fit in this gun. I don't think any of the ammo in this car fits in this specific gun. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I have a weird kitchen drawer that keeps up all the open batteries, nail clippers, and random shit. Yes, I have something similar, but it's a wooden crate, and it's up on the top shelf so the kids don't have ready access to it, and it has a series of random bullets. It's like old 45, old 762 by 54R, a couple of random 12 gauges, you know, like it's all the ammo that I had when I went shooting, but then I had like a few extra rounds that I just didn't load into the magazines, and then I just threw them all into the same ammo junk drawer. So, option Mizkif versus Emiru and Asmongold start the real slop. No. No, I do not give a shit. I could not be forced to give a shit less about what is the Emiru versus Mizkif thing? It's like Mizkif was dating Emiru, and then he did like they broke up or something because he had like a huge ego problem where his girlfriend was doing better than him metrically, so he freaked the fuck out. They broke up. He was kind of scary because his tantrums would involve like speeding at 150 miles an hour and punching holes in the drywall. And then in order to try to become a better person, he speed ran, you know, getting better. But the way that he speed ran getting better was doing steroids while also doing mushrooms twice a week, you know? So, no offense, but that's like not how you heal. You can't force healing. Healing involves an intentional relaxing of your like central nervous system so you can allow your body's subconscious processes to heal. You can't heal by fucking slamming fucking mushrooms and steroids. Okay. Well, since you guys, unfortunately, you guys picked something that I didn't want to do. Lance Twig's murder testimony only got 30% of the votes. Secret fourth option got 44% of the votes. So now I have to come up with the secret fourth option. So what is the guys? You got to help me here. You left me in a lurch. What do I do? Now I need to. Do I need to go to, I need to switch account to my Counterpoints 40K one that actually I consume Twitch and YouTube political content on? I could do Conduit, but dude, okay, so straight up with the Conduit thing. All right, I'll end the poll. With Conduit, I don't want to watch the newer one, because the newer one I don't give a shit about. The one that I would watch is the... Hold up. Let me share this with you guys real quick. I spent 1 week watching Patrick Bet David, but PBD is a fucking dipshit. You know? So I wouldn't want to watch that. What I would want to do is Pod Save America, because Pod Save America is representative of, in my opinion, like a huge problem in the left liberal civil war, because they're the fucking like easily impressionable liberal dipshits who don't know what to do in reference to like leftists infiltrating their shit. So I would rather do that. Fashion for 5. Thank you for the chip, King. Next time, have the fourth option on hand. I had a plan today. I was gonna watch the murder testimony and shit on Candace Owens. That was my plan. Democracy is what's fucking it up. So hold on. So now we'll do a poll, because Fashion 40 is right. I'm letting democracy fuck us up. So I plan on doing murder testimony. So we're just going to do option 1, murder testimony. Option 2, conduit lib shit tent. That's it. There's 2 options. And we need to get into it because basically, like I said, I got 2 hours. So, screw democracy. I mean, I agree with you. How are you doing, fellow kids? Pretty good, Shapingro. Pretty good. True Zealot says I gave you a suggestion. Well, I'm sorry, True Zealot, but I lost you in the mix. Chill day. Let's watch Miss Rachel. It's more the speed of some of our chatters. True. True. I am I don't think my kids are into Miss Rachel as much, but there was a golden era of Miss Rachel in my home for like 6 months to 2 years for my youngest, where he would like see Miss Rachel come on screen and he would like sigh a sigh of like relief and happiness because I think he was in love with Miss Rachel. The best way to solve direct democracy is with more direct democracy. Well, that's what we did. So, e pluribus unum, true. E pluribus anus. Have you watched the Crucible cartoons? Lol, no. And I'm not gonna watch them. Somebody fucking tagged saying, or it was like a video of like me, Destiny, and Lauren in a love triangle, and I do not need to know what their take on it was. Jesus Christ. You let your children watch that anti-Semite? RC, good to see ya. Have a good rest. All right, I think we're doing murder testimony because it's got like 80%, and I've given you guys like 2 minutes. So we're just doing the murder testimony because that was my plan anyways. That's what's in the title. So let's just do it. Let's just do the murder testimony. All right. Lance Twiggs' testimony. It might be a little bit drier, but I still want to cover it because I think it's going to be important. You guys are going to see a host of people making conspiracy theory claims about this trial. And this is the testimony of the trans roommate / girlfriend boyfriend of the shooter. So, like, if there's going to be anybody who kind of knows what the fuck is going on, it's going to be this person. If this person literally fucking was like, oh, yeah, it was the Israeli Mossad. They said, you know, make my boyfriend a patsy or else they were going to kill my whole family. Then at that point, I would be like, oh, shit, maybe the Mossad angle has a little bit of evidence to it. But if he just goes, no, 100%, it was my boyfriend who shot Charlie Kirk, he texted me about it, then I'm going to be like, hey, it's probably this guy's boyfriend, you know? Oh, Officer Nasty, that is spicy. Grip Build for 10 says, plus 10 for non-drama slop content. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Grip Build, for the support. Obviously there's always the temptation to go to slop for metrics, but you know, we can be better than that sometimes. So let me thank the people who have donated, because I think we got a couple of donos, and then let me get cracking on this. I'll do a little intro and we'll get cracking so we can do the day. So Fashion 40 with the 5 and Grip Pilled with the 10. Thank you, Kings and Queens, for kicking us off. And let's go ahead and get into the content. So, hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran. I would argue a real Republican, and I'm trying to be a rhino, a Republican who is honest, has integrity, nuance, and objectives. And today we're going to be taking a look at the shooter of Charlie Kirk's boyfriend / girlfriend's testimony during the preliminary hearing. I understand this might be a little bit drier of content, but I'll put it at like 1.15, 1.2. The reason why I think it's important to do content like this is because there are a lot of people who are making claims about the Charlie Kirk incident. I've heard everything from it wasn't him because he didn't break down the rifle, or they said he broke down the rifle and the time it would have taken for him to reassemble the rifle, shoot Charlie, and then jump off the roof. That doesn't make sense. I've heard that you know, it was Israeli Mossad flying in on diplomatic planes into Utah that were tracking Erica Kirk and tracking Charlie. And so the shooter is actually a patsy. I've heard that 308 would chop a person's head off. And so as a result, or whatever bullet he used, 30-06 would chop a person's head off. So there's no way that a 30-06 was used in the shooting. There's a whole bunch of fucking nonsense surrounding this trial because people want the story to be bigger than it is. So I think it's important to actually check out what's being said by the people who are involved in the case. So without further ado, let's take a look at it. I am starting about 2 minutes in. but that's because the 2 minutes is just like introductory. Hey, you know you're under oath. Hey, you know you can be prosecuted if you lie, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so again, I placed you under oath. Just to make a record, I'm going to do it again. You do solemnly swear that the evidence you
The echo is on their end, so just endure the echo real quick.
shall give in this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And again, I'm going to give you the false statement admonition.
Sorry, hold on. If they're saying that it's echoing, so
I think this one's mic is on.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, you're not on my mic.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we should be good. All right. That.
I think we started dating 2 or 3 months after he moved in.
Okay. And where did you live at that time?
St. George, in an apartment complex.
And is that apartment the same place you lived when on September 10th?
Yes.
When you lived there with Tyler, were you in the same room? Did you live in the same room or different rooms?
No, separate rooms.
And at that time, let's say September of 2025, what were you doing with your life? Were you working, school?
I was working. I was doing like bathtub and shower repair and stuff in new construction.
Okay. How about Tyler?
I think he was both working. I think he was working for an electrician company then, and he was also in a trade school for being I don't know, higher like ranking electrician. I'm not sure how the trade system works for that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he was both.
What was his typical work day like?
I think he'd leave around 7 generally and get back around 3 to 4, depending on like where the job was and how long it was for the day. And then on certain days of the week during school, like semesters, he would then later in the day, I think around 5 or 6, go to school. So yeah.
Okay. Let's jump to September 10th. Did he spend the night in the apartment the night of September 9th into September 10th?
Into September 10th. Yeah, he did. Yes.
Do you know when he left the apartment on September 10th?
I don't know an exact time. I just know he left early. I heard him leaving, and he just said he had a long drive to work that day, so he was leaving early.
Okay, so early. Any guess as to what when that was?
I don't know. I would have thought it was 5 a.m. because that's when like an early work day was for him, but it was probably more like 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna have him spit out his gum just to make sure that
I can do that.
you're right in front of your laptop.
Oh, here you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so what time did you get up on September 10th?
Probably like 12 to 1 p.m.
You didn't have to work that day?
No.
And did you hear from Tyler? Did he call or text you before then?
No, he sent that message in the group chat I mentioned, but he didn't message me directly at all that day.
Okay. When did you first hear from him on September 10th?
It was at 11 o'clock with that like automated message.
Okay, 11 p.m.?
Yeah.
I'm going to see if, while they're figuring out their tech shit, I'm going to see if or are they about to show the automated message? Are they fast forwarding?
He had said he was planning to go hunting with his... Yeah.
He asks you here.
Hold up.
What about... He asks you here, remember how I was engraving bullets? Was he engraving bullets before this?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when, but he had said he was planning to go hunting with his family. And he asked me for if we had a Dremel because he said he wanted to engrave messages on bullets. And I just told him where our Dremel was and told him to make sure he doesn't set off a bullet on accident in the house. But I didn't really think about it until then.
How long before September 10th was this that he asked about the Dremel?
I don't remember, because he'd been talking about the hunting/camping trip for a couple months, but I don't remember when he was specifically asking to engrave the bullets. So
are we talking like a year before?
oh no, not that long. It would have been I'd say at most a month before this was when he was asking.
Okay.
Okay. So this is what was allegedly said. I think this is the automated letter, but if I mix up like letters or text messages, my apologies. Tyler Robinson, 23, allegedly wrote a letter to his roommate and romantic partner that read, Luna, if you are reading this per my text, then I am so sorry. I left the house this morning on a mission and sent an auto text. Okay, so this isn't the auto text, but this is something else. I left the house this morning on a mission and sent an auto text. I'm likely dead or facing a lengthy prison sentence. And then prosecutors say Robinson wrote the letter to Lance Twiggs, who was previously known as Luna. Later portions of the letter read, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I took it. I wish we could have lived in a world where this was not necessary. The screenshot of the handwritten note shown in court continues. So to be clear, and then also it ends by stating, please try and find joy in this life. I love you always, Tyler. So this wasn't the automated text message that they're talking about. So hopefully we get some insight into this. But tracking the fucking, the facts of the matter, I suppose, because this is where, what do I want? I want paint because I want to do a very simple diagram while we're listening to this. But like for this, do we have any Charlie Kirk conspiracy theorists in chat? Do you want to share any holes in this story that you're identifying? Because for me, like, I'm just going to start writing down what appear to be facts based off of, like, the sworn testimony of the boyfriend-girlfriend is lived with Tyler, gave Tyler a Dremel to engrave bullets, but did not know what the messages were. Tyler was talking about taking a hunting trip with the family for an extended period. Then left early on the day of the shooting. Like, I'll keep adding like more details, but automated message on day of, and then I'll just leave that blank for now, but like what are we looking for? Because like the chances of, like, what are the chances that Israel flew in a hit squad, according to Candace Owens, using diplomatic airplanes to stalk Charlie and Erica Kirk, have the hit squad go to this fucking college event, have them shoot Charlie at the same time that this guy thought he was going to shoot Charlie, and then he like sent a Discord message, sent a text, like they ghosted all the messages onto his phone and his Discord, and his defense is not, hey, I'm being framed. It's, that's not my gun or something. Like that's where for me, like the Candace Owenses of the world are like huge pieces of shit. Because they're basically capitalizing on not paying attention to what's being said. So, anyways, I'm going to let the content flow while we continue to listen, but I'm also going to read in chat. So, if you're a Charlie Kirk shooting skeptic, I would really, really, really love, some feedback.
Okay. Right. You talked about the note that he left. I want to bring this up, and I should say that these text messages that we've been looking at here are Bates number 54. Okay. The notes have been titled 16.3 with a note, and this is Bates number 58. Do you recognize that on the screen there?
Yeah.
What do you recognize it as?
That was the note under his keyboard that he was referring to in the first text of that chain.
Sorry, 1 second. Officer Nasty makes an interesting point. Connor, isn't it fascinating how people are taking the partner's testimony of evidence of bad actions? It's almost like people understand a partner making claims about their partner is valid evidence. No, Officer Nasty. You have to understand, every partner that you are no longer with is scorned, and therefore you cannot take anything they say seriously because they have a motive to malign your reputation. So actually, despite this person knowing Tyler Robinson for an extreme amount of time, we should dismiss their testimony completely. Also, if there's testimony from another partner and the other partner has proven to be unreliable in other circumstances, you could ignore everything they say as well. So weirdly enough, any person you ever date ever, if they say anything negative about you whatsoever, you can dismiss it. You don't have to listen to a single thing that is said by former partners of people. You know?
So where did you find this?
On his desk underneath his computer keyboard.
And I assume you read it.
Yeah.
And then what did you do with it after you read it?
I believe I just put it back down on the desk after I took a picture of it.
Okay. And again, the time you read it was probably around 11 o'clock or so on the 10th.
Yes.
The night of September 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And did you ever see that again after you placed it back on his desk?
No, I don't think I did.
And that was a desk in his bedroom?
Yes.
And that's a separate bedroom than your bedroom?
Yeah.
And now I want to go to what's been titled 16.2. And do you recognize this series of messages here?
Yeah, that was the server of his friend that I was mentioning.
Okay, and this is your phone again?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you recognize it because the big crack up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a server. Is this Discord?
Yeah, this is Discord.
And who are members of this server? I don't want names, just generally, who are these people? Members of
This is his friend group. They played D&D together every week.
Okay. And I just want to scroll through this to make sure that...
Let that be a lesson to you all. Playing Dungeons and Dragons with your online friends is a gateway drug to political assassination. Old School for Two says, can we trade Candace Owens to Russia for a Klondike bar? Dude, I would make that trade instantaneously.
get a chance to take a look at it.
No, well, QC John,
Yes.
Sorry, well, QC John, I'll be clear. During recent dramas, some people have been insistent that the testimony of ex-girlfriends be dismissed out of hand because they have a motivation to malign their former lovers. And then they also insisted that the testimony of a partner in an anonymous setting also be dismissed because that person has been proven to be unreliable in other locations. Therefore, all of that evidence can be dismissed outright. And I'm being a smartass about it because obviously Lance Twiggs has, motivations to sweep for their former lover. They have motivations to, comply with law enforcement to avoid jail time. There's all these spurious motivations that could be assigned to Lance Twiggs' testimony. And yet it seems like the vast majority of sane people are accepting that Lance Twiggs' testimony should be used as evidence against Tyler Robinson. So that's all that's going on. Nameless Henchman for 2 says, can anyone start a D&D group on Discord? Nice.
So, Tyler Icom, who's that?
That's Tyler Robinson.
these other people are just others that are members of the server.
Yes.
Jug, Barnaby, Marina, DM.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, like DM means Dungeon Master. So this is these are like most of them are names they're using in the game they're playing currently.
Got it. Yeah, it looks like the last text from Tyler, looks like it's 8 p.m. And do you know what day this would have been, 8 p.m. on the 10th or the 11th?
I would think that would be the 11th. Because at least I think so, because I don't think on the 10th that he messaged anyone before me at like 11. So.
And he turned himself in on the 11th, right?
I thought so, yeah.
Okay. So again, we're just going to go through this so that we have a record of the messages.
Okay, just while we're waiting for them to get through the messages, which, to be clear, are being blacked out on screen because they don't want to expose this to the preliminary hearing. Knife Mall says more like Tyler Throbinson, am I right? Thank you for your horrific irreverence for the situation. Thank you.
Is that an accurate recording of that thread?
To my knowledge, yes.
And that was sent, looks like between September 10th and September 12th. Looks like the last day on this is September 12th. Screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so again, those messages covered from September 10th to the evening of September 11th. Now, September 11th, what time did you see Tyler on September 11th?
Yes.
When did you first see him on September 11th? So this is the day after the shooting?
Yeah, I saw him when I woke up. Like I said, he was up and around doing a lot of stuff around the house. And then I think I saw him after that message where I said I'll come home and say I'm doing laundry, because I didn't want him going to my parents' house right then when he said there was probably cops outside. So I went back home, and it was just him there, and I said bye to him, and then he drove off. So I just went back to my parents' house.
All right, I'm fast forward a little bit while it seems like they're
just sitting down, relaxing?
No, he was walking around a lot.
Right, and that's within the home?
Mm-hmm.
And did he talk about what he had done?
Didn't go into detail. I just asked him in person if what he said was true the night before, and he said it was. He started crying a little bit and said he wishes he hadn't done it, and then kept going around and just doing stuff, I think, to keep himself busy or distracted or something.
Okay. Did he talk about what he was going to do next?
And then eventually said that he would talk to his parents or turn himself over.
Okay. And when you left, was that how you left, understanding that he was going to turn himself in or go to his parents' house?
Yeah, and I didn't really want to be at our apartment while any of that was happening, regardless of what went down.
Okay. Okay, before he came home, had you seen the press releases, any of the media on this?
I'd seen one Instagram link a friend of mine had sent in our group chat,
Okay.
but I hadn't really looked into it at all.
And had you seen the images that were released of the suspect?
I did the next day. I don't think I saw any on the 10th.
I'm going to show you a couple of those images. Okay, I'm on the FBI's website. You can see the URL there at the top. This is some press release about this event. And here on the screen, you see these, looks like there's 2 rows of 3 images.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize the person in these images?
I wouldn't say it with 100% certainty just because of camera quality, but that looks like him in terms of the shoes he's wearing, the sunglasses. I don't think I'd specifically seen him wearing that hat, but he was usually wearing a hat, and then jeans. So it definitely, especially the bottom, the last 2, definitely do look like him. Oh, they do look like Tyler Robinson.
And you talked about that with your friends, right? This is like him.
Yeah, his friends. Yeah, I don't know if I talked. I don't remember if I talked about it with any of my friends. And then since I didn't have my phone after that for a while, and I still am not using social media, I don't know on my friends' end.
Okay. All right, I want to back up a little bit now. We've talked about September 10th, but let me get a little bit of context here. So, did you game with Tyler?
Yeah.
What kind of games?
We played some just kind of party games together, like anything that would be multiplayer with a group of friends. There was one game he really liked called Sea of Thieves, where you play as like a pirate, and you can fight against people, but most of it's just like fishing, fighting sharks, skeletons kind of stuff. We played some co-op games where it's like you both have to work together to win in whatever way.
You heard it here first, folks. Do not start a Dungeons and Dragons cooperative Discord group. That is a gateway drug to political assassination. Also, Sea of Thieves, the pirate cooperative game, is another potential gateway drug to radical political assassination. Okay, so be careful out there.
Way back when I was just out of high school, when I first knew him online, we played some like shooting games together, but I didn't know him very well, so that was just when we had like a whole friend group on to play, and he was someone that my friends invited.
Okay. Did you and he ever talk about politics?
He did more than me. I still don't really keep up with politics very much. He'd usually talk about stuff he heard on the radio on his drive to work in like their work car, since it sounds like their whole crew went in the same car most of the time. But I wouldn't say super consistently, because it wasn't a topic I really contributed much on.
What about Charlie Kirk? Did you ever talk about Charlie Kirk?
I personally had never heard him talk about Charlie Kirk before specifically.
Okay. How about political issues? So did you ever talk about gender identity issues and LGBTQ rights?
No, not really. Usually if he did talk about politics stuff, it was relating to Trump or current like policies being like issued or voted on, I think. But yeah.
Okay, so before that you have been.
If I was to put on my skeptical brain, conspiracy theory brain, it does seem odd to me that he has depending on how you define it, like Lance Twiggs was transgender, non-conforming, non-binary, whatever, and is it confirmed that they were dating at some point? I feel like it might have been said that they were dating. So if they were trans and hooking up, and it was during the era of Trump, it does seem odd to me that they would not have talked about like politics or gender identity or the politics of gender identity or conservatives, you know, kind of on the warpath, hunting fucking, you know, trans people and gay people and all that kind of bullshit. That does seem weird to me. But you know, it's not something that fucking kills. It doesn't kill everything else. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe this person is trying to paint themselves as not an extremist, and so they themselves don't want to be labeled as some kind of like leftist political extremist that encouraged the potential assassination of Charlie Kirk. So I don't know if it's self-sweeping. I don't know if they're just telling the truth and it's odd. I truly do not know. Doobie for Denton says, Sea of Thieves player. He's innocent. I'd believe it if they'd said Rust. True. Rust is indeed quite a sociopathic game. So, you know, just remember, kids, choose eating a banana and walking around outside. Do not, instead of radical Islamic terrorism, you know, choose life. Choose eating a banana and sitting outside for a while.
For a short time, yes.
Okay. And I understand you're going by Luna at some point.
To some people, yeah, but not as an overall thing.
Sorry, it looks like they're clicking around for like different clips or something.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have for this portion. Let me check and see if I've missed anything. The Dremel that you talked about, you said he had asked for that, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And had he told you it was to inscribe bullets?
Yeah.
And so did you have a Dremel then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in our, like, our apartment, we had a section where we kept all our, like, random tools for household stuff in our, like, lower basement level pantry. So, yeah.
Okay. And did you give that to him or tell him where it was?
I just told him where it was, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording for the 1102 purposes.
All right, that concludes states.
Okay, weirdly enough, if this is just kind of like procedural shit after this, then I might go pull up the Candace Owens stuff, because we still have an hour and 30 minutes left, and I kind of want to see what the fuck she's talking about, right? And the reason why I want to go see what the fuck she's talking about is because, like, this seems pretty solid to me. Like maybe I'm a dipshit, but I feel like, especially from like a law enforcement perspective, if we're summarizing this, we have the alleged shooter's roommate stating that specifically he got a Dremel in order to inscribe bullets, that Tyler was talking about taking a hunting trip, so they didn't know the specific messages that were being inscribed on the bullets. He left an automated message on the day of the incident, left a note on their keyboard basically alluding to the incident, confirmed that they had actually done what they'd said they'd done the night of, was pacing back and forth in the apartment, and said that they were going to go confess to their parents and confess to law enforcement day of. For me, that feels like open and shut, this motherfucker did it, right? So I kind of want to see, like, how do you take something that's so straightforward that this was like a vaguely lefty dude who wasn't like super political, but was political enough, dating a trans girl, thought Charlie Kirk was like a fascist or a piece of shit. And then, that's how is not 1 + 1 + 1 = 3? You know, that what the fuck are you? How are you turning this into complex algebra? So somebody says, why are you dipping out so early today, Connor? I'm leaving at noon because I'm going on a coffee date with a Brazilian woman. So I don't know. You know, I haven't met this. I could be getting catfished. Could be a 500-pound Pakistani dude. But allegedly, you know, we're just going on like a chill coffee date to just hang out and see if we have chemistry. So we'll see. Dan Pace texted me today, basically asking if we were going to do the show today. And I was like, hey, I'm going out with a Brazilian woman. And he's like, be very careful. he's like, listen, as a man who did special forces in Latin America, be careful with women from the Southern Hemisphere. They will fucking kill you. Kratzer said, it's actually me. I'm 498 pounds and Indian. Yeah. Yeah. It could be a 500-pound Indian man. We'll see. The pictures are a light-skinned 40-year-old Brazilian woman who looks a little tough in her gym outfits, who looks pretty in 3 of her pictures, and then 1 of her pictures she looks a little tough, like a night shift nurse getting off of shift. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. You know, hopefully I don't get stabbed. We'll see. Okay, no promises. No promises for anything. Doobie for $10 as a boyfriend says he needs to engrave messages on bullets. What kind of person doesn't ask what or why? Well, Doobie, I do think that could be like a little bit of self-sweeping, right? So, you know, like they don't want to pretend that they were more involved. They don't want to sound more involved than they were, because people, especially the rightoids, are super pissed because this is one of the most impactful political assassinations since what, JFK? Like, when's the last time that, think about it, when was the last time that we had like a major political assassination? We've obviously had attempts. There were attempts on Clinton, I think. There were attempts on Bush Jr. and Sr. There was an attempt on Nixon that actually resulted in him getting shot. But I don't think that there was a successful political assassination probably since the 60s or 70s. What was the last majorly impactful political assassination? So, yeah. But MLK is kind of what I'm talking about. That's like 60s and 70s. Dimebag Darrell? Obama? Yeah, no, I don't. Okay, I think you guys are fucking with me. So, hold up.
Exhibit 16. Ms. Hunt.
Thank you, Judge. Agent Davis, I asked you yesterday, but I want to remind the court and those present. Were you physically present at the interview we just watched in State's Exhibit 16?
Yes, I was there.
And aside from the court-ordered redactions, did it appear to you to be fair and accurate about what you remember that interview that day?
Yes, I do.
During that interview, did Mr. Twiggs, was he shown or referenced certain items of evidence?
Yes, he was.
What types of items of evidence was he shown?
It was the text messages between himself and Tyler Robinson, a Discord chat messages, and a handwritten note.
And then we also saw in the video, he was also shown the FBI press release photos of the potential suspect.
That's correct, yes.
Have you reviewed all of those items as part of the investigation?
Yes, I have.
You're familiar with them?
Yes.
All right, I want to put just on the witness's screen what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 16.1. And for the record, this includes the edit that the one edit that the court has previously ordered.
Thank you.
Let me know when you see that on your screen.
Okay, I think I'm going to balance out sane and reasonable testimony with fucking Candace Owens fucking insanity, because fuck it, why not hurt ourselves actually psychically for extended periods of time? So Doobie for $10 says, yeah, I think any reasonable person will hear parts of that testimony and smell bullshit. That's what feeds the insanity. Well, Doobie, to be clear, do you think that any of this, that they lived with Tyler, gave them the Dremel, was talking about Tyler was talking about a hunting trip. He left early on the day of the shooting. He left an automated message alluding to the incident, left a note on the keyboard for their lover. The night after the shooting, he came back. He was pacing back and forth, confirmed he had done the shooting and that he was going to turn himself in. He said he was going to confess to his parents and then the police. And when shown CCTV pictures of the shooter and asked if it looked like Tyler, not 100% because of the camera angle, but definitely substantially does and matches his outfit and dress. All of those things are the things that are important to me. So if the guy is doing a guy, girl, whatever they are, guy, gal, non-binary pal, if they're fucking self-sweeping by saying we didn't talk about politics that much, we didn't talk about Charlie Kirk that much, we didn't talk about gender identity that much, despite the fact that I'm a non-binary person, yeah, that sounds like a little bit of bullshit and fucking self-sweeping for me, but that doesn't change a substantial amount of the testimony that's critical to establishing that Tyler Robinson was the shooter. So for me, I understand that you're saying that the self-sweeping and potential lies causes people to be skeptical, but then the thrust of what's being said evidentiarily, I don't know if that's word, evidentially, is not being changed by that skepticism. So my question to you is, are you saying that you think that they have good reason to be skeptical and there's some parts of the narrative thrust that should be ripped apart? Or are you just saying that like the skepticism in general is what fuels the conspiracy brain bullshit? Because I think the latter description is just true. So what I'm going to do is, I think that Charlie's final ride to the hospital isn't adding up. Sounds like unmitigated fucking schizophrenia. It sounds like schizophrenia boiled down into a fentanyl level fucking dose and then injected straight into my bloodstream. So I think I'm going to watch this for a little bit. And then when it gets too stupid, I will go to Truman Show, proof that Charlie Kirk was targeted by the elites. You know? Because that sounds more like the kind of speculation that could be more like substantiated by evidence while not changing the thrust of the assassination. So, Doobie says, I think he did it. I don't believe Lance is being honest about his own actions and knowledge. Friends have given interviews and shown evidence that Lance was a manic psycho. Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah. So if Lance Twiggs or whatever is self-sweeping and lying about their own involvement in order to avoid incarceration or public scrutiny, I could probably agree with that, especially if shown evidence to that effect. But anyways, let's check out Candace doing psycho speculation about her dead friend's fucking hospital ride.
All right, you guys, happy Wednesday to everyone except Brian Harpole. What an absolute nutcase. Am I right? I mean, you guys flooded us with comments yesterday. Doctors and nurses and ER techs. You guys were just on fire about the absurd story he presented, wherein he led the OR team. He took a gurney, pushed Charlie into a vacant room, jumped on top of him, apparently found some scissors and cut his t-shirt off from his body. I mean, what in the fantasy series are we even talking about? Not even in the fictional world of Grey's Anatomy, because they want it to be realistic. I think Brian is a liar, liar, pants on fire. And feel free, Brian, to add that statement to your lawsuit against me. The story that you described did not happen in an emergency room. Now, I want to especially appreciate those of you who pointed out the additional absurdity of him claiming that he jumped on top of Charlie to cut the shirt off, because why, sir? Are you 3 feet tall, Brian Harpole? Why would any adult-sized man ever need to physically jump atop a gurney to cut a t-shirt off? Like, are you miniature, Brian Harpole? Are you not taller than a bed? Do you think that that's what surgeons are doing? Paramedics jumping on top of people to cut a shirt off? I mean, it is an astoundingly dumb story the more you think about it. So the question is, why did he tell it? That's what we're going to explore today. Because methinks it might be because it offers another clue as to what actually went down on the way to the hospital. since they have conflicting stories, him and Frank Turek. We're going to talk about that.
What?
And speaking of miniature, Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire is still crashing and burning financially. Semaphore released an article, and it looks like since they can't find a private equity firm dumb enough to invest in them, they're going to attempt a Hail Mary pass. They think you guys, the people back at home, are dumb enough to invest in them by buying shares. They're going to go for an IPO, putting themselves on the stock market. Would you purchase stock in the Daily Wire? Are you an idiot like Brian Harpole? Let's find out. Welcome back to Candace.
What is happening?
Boy, oh boy, do I love you sleuths back home. Okay, I have to tell you, crowdsourcing to solve a globally consequential murder, this might be the first time it's ever been done in the history of the world, but it should not be the last time. Check out this email that we got yesterday in response to our show that we presented. What another sleuth actually happened to notice yesterday, that mysterious white on the black tempered glass shards that were shattered in the back of the SUV. That sleuth from yesterday pointed to the plausibility that Charlie's road mic was rigged to explode. They said, look, there's white on some of these pieces, Candace. Well, then we had someone send us an email.
Oh, come on. 1.316 million views. 1.316 million views. Fuck. Hold on. Let's write this down. Someone who treated Charlie lied about the extremity of their actions so as to seem cooler than they were by jumping on Charlie's chest to cut off his t-shirt for medical access. This might be a clue that will help us uncover an internationally consequential murder. Someone sent me I love my audience being sleuths. Quote, like, which is a synonym for detectives, as I got an email pointing out that glass being discolored in the back of the car transporting Charlie might point to his microphone being a miniature explosive. Bro. This is like the first 2 minutes. We haven't even gotten into anything yet. Oh my God. It's an explosive microphone, and I don't even know what she's insinuating by the person exaggerating their... What is somebody exaggerating their medical treatment of Charlie Kirk change about the scenario? Fuck. Fashion 40 for 5 says it's always fuck Candace, but goddamn, she's taking her victory lap on Daily Wire. But should she be? Should she be getting 1.3 million views by being a schizophrenic about her dead friend's assassination? Should she be beating the Daily Wire? Is this not an indictment of the human species? Anyways.
And they started putting the pieces together. One crucial piece. They wrote, Dear Candace and team, I'm watching your show from earlier today. I'm in France, and I had to stop watching when you showed the shards after reading that email. I quickly spotted the USB logo on the shard at the 15-minute, 30-second mark, the one to the left of the screen closer to you, and I wanted to check it. please see below. All I did was screenshot your video and rotate the bit with the shard to line it up with a promo shot of the Rode mic. I think there's no room for doubt here. It's clearly the USB logo and or icon. Game over. Feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. I'm going to show you. This is what they attached to like from our show, the picture. And they then obviously flipped it and showed that that was the USB. I think this is incredible. Legendary Inspector gadget finding. We did it ourselves. We can blow up that image and rotate it as well and put it side by side with the Rode Mic's UBS icon. So that really is something. I do feel like this is what we have to do. We have to get really molecular to close this case. I do believe firmly that it was Charlie's Rode mic bits that were shattered all over the car floor. And by the way, you guys were so in the weeds on this that I even had opticians emailing me to inform me that it was not possible for it to be sunglasses on the ground. The emails were like, hey, I don't know if you know this about sunglasses, but they're actually not allowed to shatter like that. There's a whole process in how they're created because obviously they are covering people's eyes, so they cannot create them in a circumstance in which they might shatter and glass would get all over people's eyes, which is why, generally speaking, you know, if you break your sunglasses, or if you break your glass.
Okay. Doobie says, honestly, that sounds more real than his superhuman bones stopped the bullet to protect people behind the tent. Okay. So number one, I don't know if the frangible ammunition has been confirmed, but frangible ammunition is something that I heard repeated. Frangible ammunition is basically ammo that is designed to kind of like pulverize on impact. There's a variety of reasons why you would want to use it. One of the reasons is that when you're hitting steel targets, it doesn't have as much shit in order to bounce back at you. Number two, basically like the reason why if I wanted to use if I was going to be like assassinating someone and I wanted to use frangible ammunition for some reason, the reason that I can think of off the top of my head is there would be less of a bullet to recover, right? So that let's just see if there's any evidence that it was frangible ammo. Did Tyler Robinson use frangible ammo to kill Charlie Kirk? No. I think that's more of a rumor that I heard than that is anything that was confirmed. So take what I just said with a massive grain of salt. But either way, I think people will say like, listen, ammo does crazy shit. So just as an example, when I was going into the Marine Corps, I had a gunnery sergeant who was in charge of my camp guard unit. And he was saying, don't worry, when you go over to Iraq, Iraqis can't shoot for shit. And so basically, when I was over there deployed in 03, it was like whack-a-mole with the way that we were shooting people. They would literally run out into the street, pop up, get shot, and then another one would run out into the street, pop up, get shot. He was like, don't worry, Iraqis can't shoot for shit. And then what he also said is basically 5.56 rounds do crazy shit when they hit the target. He saw someone get shot in the upper chest. Okay? He got shot in the fucking upper chest, and the round came out his thigh because of the tumbling. So, like, the bullet must have hit some bone, hit his spine, hit whatever, and then altered the trajectory downward through his vital organs, and then into his hip, and then out of his thigh. So, you know, just in general, what I want you to take from this is what kind of ammo was used is going to impact what actually happens ballistically, whether or not it's frangible, full metal jacket, hollow point, soft tip, etc., etc., etc. And then number two, bullets do crazy shit when they fucking hit a target. So, Diminished Dark Nut, thank you for the Oil King. $50. This poor woman is publicly lashing out at reality as it splits into two diverging mental paths. torn between the world she once knew for the real and the shadow of conspiratorial doubt cast over her currently nightmarish perception of everything. I agree with that, in that I think that oftentimes with conspiracy-brained people, they would prefer a solid, nefarious truth compared to the chaos of reality. So, a random schizo leftoid video gamer taking his dad's, fucking hunt, or his grandpa's hunting rifle and shooting Charlie Kirk is terrifying because of the randomness of it. It means that out of a country of 330 million people, anyone could randomly decide to kill anyone based off of political prescriptions, and Candace Owens is an outspoken political individual. So, that's chaotic and crazy and unpredictable and sad and infuriating. So what is more, weirdly enough, stable in her mind is that Charlie Kirk wasn't killed by a random schizophrenic. He was killed because the state of Israel was worried that he was going to become too much of a critic of their state, turn the conservative movement against the state of Israel, and therefore he had to be taken out and solidified as a Zionist martyr before he could, turn on Israel and backstab them and turn the American public against the state of Israel, resulting in the destruction of that nefarious nation state. And weirdly enough, that is like a more solid reality, even though it's a more nefarious reality, that's a more solid reality for her to cling to. So, and weirdly enough, it's also making her hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year, so why not? You know?
They maybe crack, or the lens just pops out of the frame, and it was amazing. I'm learning so much, and she sent me step by step of the qualifications, what they have to pass, the inspections they have to pass. Anyway, this brings us to Brian's Pinocchio movie, the emergency room edition. Because why exactly did Brian Harpole spin such an extraordinary tale? A tale that I can tell you has upset deeply people who work in emergency rooms all around the world. A frankly implausible story, because outside of blatant corruption, incompetence, a flagrant violation of every known law and hospital policy on the books, we can assume Brian Harpole is telling a porcupine, right? So let's at first re-listen to his extraordinary story, because it is important and it requires our imagination. Take a listen.
We get to the hospital. Actually, we make it to the hospital through the traffic. We've got full wound pack in. We get out and we carry in to the door. Once we make it into the door, we see a gurney on the left-hand side. We put him on a gurney, and then I wheel him into a room. I start giving the patient information to the staff there. I end up getting on top of him and cutting the shirt that he had on off, that white Freedom shirt. And so I cut it off so they could get to him, so that I didn't articulate this to them, but I wanted to get that stuff off so they could put a defibrillator on him. And so, and then started talking about pushing drugs. And so I was back and forth with them on drugs and defibrillator.
Well, who is this guy? And if he said we got to pack in Brian Harpole, Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's former security chief sues Candace Owens. Yeah. So with Brian Harpole, okay, let's say in reference to a neck shot, okay? Now, maybe I'm inferring too much off of a limited detail, but let's say human physiology, body, art. So hold up. Let's find this one. Weirdly enough, this one with the neck is actually okay. Now, I think we all saw, or a substantial amount of us saw, a grievous wound here and then a giant blood spurt out as Charlie Kirk slumped. So right here, there's a variety of, the life-saving steps from the Marine Corps are stop the bleeding, start the breathing, protect the wound, treat for shock, right? Stop the bleeding, start the breathing, protect the wound, treat for shock. So even though you pretty much know that Charlie Kirk is fucked because he got hurt with a 30 caliber to the neck, you still want to maximize his chances of survival because crazy shit's happened. Just as an example, there was that, who is it? That guy who shoots the big calibers, Kentucky Ballistics. He had a 50 caliber rifle explode on him, shrapnel go into his throat, nick his carotid artery. He fucking put his thumb on the artery. I think he either had his dad or somebody drive him to the hospital, and then they were able to somehow stop the bleeding, and he survived. And now Kentucky Ballistics has like a fucking surgical and shrapnel scar around his throat from the 50 cal blowing up and fucking hitting him with shrapnel. So while the chances of Charlie Kirk recovering from this is incredibly low, like impossible basically, you still want to give him a shot of survival. Well, with the neck, there's only so much that you can do in reference to a 30 caliber round hole in here. You know, the tissue's still going to be fucked up and all that kind of stuff. But who knows? Maybe it missed the artery. Maybe that was venous bleeding. Maybe that was some kind of like pressure backlash from the bullet hitting. You don't know. So since you don't know, and I'm not a fucking doctor, you want to try to stop the bleeding, even though you know it's probably a hopeless situation, right? So, even though you know it's a hopeless situation, you want to maximize Charlie's chances of survival. You can't do a tourniquet here, because if you do a tourniquet around the neck, this is something that was actually really funny, and it was done in boot camp multiple times. Tourniquets are great for stopping bleeding, but they're also great for stopping blood flow. So if you do a tourniquet to the neck, you're cutting off blood flow to the brain. So if they put a tourniquet underneath Charlie Kirk's chin, weirdly enough, they would stop the bleeding. But they would also cut off blood flow to the brain, right? So who said put a tourniquet on it? Nobody. But funnily enough, when I was in boot camp, there were people who had head wounds and they put on tourniquets to the neck. And my drill instructor fucking yelled at that guy and punished that guy severely because he's such a fucking idiot. No one said that. I'm just pointing out how, you wouldn't use a tourniquet, okay? Now, the other thing that you can use if you have a trauma kit, can you use quick clot on the neck? Yes, you can use quick clot hemostatic gauze on a neck wound because tourniquets can't be used on the neck. Wound packing with a clotting agent is a standard life-saving technique for severe penetrating neck hemorrhage. So quick clot is actually a really cool technology. But you have to have it. It needs to be a part of your trauma kit. So with quick clot, not only can you shove the gauze in there, but the gauze has some kind of hemostatic agent that they get from seashells. And basically it I'm not a medical expert, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but it drags the clots out of your blood to the wound. And so as a result, it can cause an instantaneous clot, which stops the bleeding. So the reason why I'm going through this, though, is if you had quick clot, allegedly, according to this cursory Google search, you could use quick clot on the neck wound. But then the other thing you would want to do is a pressure bandage, right? So a pressure bandage or a pressure, what would you call it? Stop the bleeding pressure bandage. This isn't quite what I'm looking for, but you can pack a wound. So let's say that there's a wound that has like a cavity inside it. You can fucking take your pack basically a bunch of gauze. You can jam it into the wound, and then you can put pressure on it in order to try to build pressure back inside the wound so blood flow returns. And so while Candace is being, I'll wrap this up because I'm just talking about how to stop people from bleeding and talking about fucking choking them out with tourniquets and shit. But Candace saying, like this guy saying, yeah, we had a packed wound. We rolled him into the ER. I jumped on top of him. I cut off his shirt because I wanted to give the surgical team like the ability to do it. It seems like I was removing a step. And then also I was trying to coordinate with the medical personnel in order to deliver, you know, emergency medical aid. That's not that fucking crazy of a fucking statement. It really is not. So Candace Owens is a dipshit. Let's see if there's anything else to this.
And so then, you know, once you get that shirt cut off and moved out of the way, you know, there's enough of medical professionals in there. And so I just want to get out of their way. And so got out of their way and walked out of the room and stood outside the room and held guard on the outside door of the room so nobody else could come in there.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that when I go to the ER. I'm not going to wait in line. I'm going to grab gurneys. I'm going to start telling them what kind of drugs to give them and guard the doors. So we have to ask.
That was Charlie Kirk's head of security. Most people who do security work for any extended period of time, emergency first aid is a part of your training. If you're private security, you get emergency medical training because oftentimes private security guards at like amusement parks and shit, they will be the first person notified when somebody passes out. That you will get there faster than the EMTs. Same thing with law enforcement. Law enforcement gets very cursory medical training because we are oftentimes faster than the fire department and faster than the EMTs because we have guns. So if there's a dangerous situation where somebody is severely injured, we're going in first. So we do get basic medical training. And then the Marine Corps does basic medical training, but they also do combat lifesaver. So combat lifesaver is basically their version of an EMT. You're not a doc, you're not a medic, you don't have anything extra. Like I couldn't use my combat lifesaver course in order to instantaneously become an EMT. I would still have to go to EMT school. But I know more than a Marine who just went to boot camp because we basically did an extended 2-week emergency field medicine course. And so we went over triage, we went over bleeding shit, like complex bleeding treatment shit. We went over complex breathing treatment shit. We went over the ossuary IV, and volunteers got to have their ossuary IV. What is it? No. It's like a clavicle IV line. This thing is crazy. That's not the one that I was thinking of. It's a sternal IV. Sternum IV. So basically, dude, this thing makes me want to fucking throw up so bad. So basically, you have this like 5-pronged needle, right? And you stab people in the chest with the 5-pronged needle in order to deliver IVs straight to them quickly when you can't find or have time to do an IV. Bruh. So, yeah, the military sternal IO. Dude, hold on. Let's see if we actually see this guy deliver it. It's wild. It is seriously wild. Warning graphic content. The dude has the sternal IV. Oh, this is going to get crazy. This guy has volunteered to get stabbed in the chest with a sternal IV. This is training that I did, by the way. I didn't get stabbed. Oh. Oh. Oh, this is going to suck. Oh. Oh. Don't throw up. Oh. Hold on, are you actually going to show it? Sorry, I went on a Fucking medical side adventure. Oh, did this guy punk me? Is he not actually going to show it? Nope, he's going to show it. Don't throw up. Don't throw up. Don't throw up. Do it, you pussy. Hey. Fuck. All right, anyways, it's over. It's over. Oh, that was brutal. So anyways, I'm going to skip this and I'm going to go to the international conspiracy theory. Fucking Candace Owens doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. So, just reiterating, law enforcement gets basic medical training, security guards get basic medical training, service members get basic medical training, which includes sometimes it'll include stuff like combat lifesaver and sternal IVs. Oh, I'm so happy I didn't volunteer for that. Holy shit. And so as a result, this guy's saying, like, I packed a dressing wound. We rolled into the ER. I chopped off his shirt to prep him for the OR team. I was trying to coordinate medical care with the EMTs because I was trying to maximize his chances of survival, even though I knew that it was dire. There's nothing wrong with that. Candace Owens is literally like fucking making shit up because she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. So I'm actually going to go back here. Someone who treated Charlie Kirk about the extremity of their, lied about the extremity of their actions, which they didn't, by the way. Someone who treated Charlie on... Oh, hold on. I'm actually going to add more details. Charlie's head of security was claiming he did hardcore medical shit to maximize Charlie's chances of survival, to seem cooler than they were by jumping on Charlie's chest to cut off his t-shirt for medical access. And that's not even what he said. He said, like, I got on top of Charlie and I cut off his shirt. That doesn't mean that he physically jumped on top of him. It could just mean that he, like, leaned over the top of him and fucking chopped his shit, you know? This might be a clue that will help us uncover an internationally consequential murder, schizophrenia. This is just schizophrenia. This is all this is. Okay. I love my audience being slews, as I got an email pointing out that glass being discolored in the back of the car transporting Charlie might point to the microphone being a miniature explosive because there was a visible USB device logo on a black fragment. Okay. That's where we're at right now. Let's go ahead and see the proof that Charlie Kirk was targeted by the elites.
All right, you guys, happy Thursday. Let's lock in. Last episode before we go on our summer vacation for 2 weeks. So you know it's going to be a good one. Also, I'm sorry that I'm so late. I'm never this late.
Timber Lodge says, why wasn't there an exit wound? Well, I'm going to go with bullets do crazy shit as an explanation. So I know the 5.56 is designed to tumble. That's true. So 5.56 out of a 20-inch barrel is actually designed to be slightly ballistically unstable. So when it hits the target, it'll like fracture and tumble. So it'll spin end over end and it'll also fracture, which is pretty fucking sick, actually. But also bullets just do crazy shit. So that's where, for me, it's like, if it hit his bone and deflected downwards into his vital organs, then he's fucked. You know, like, that. I don't know where the exit wound is. I don't know where the fucking bullet trajectory was. I don't fucking know. I know he was fucking shot. So, I don't know. But bullets do crazy shit.
My entire house is sick. I'm sick. I have a sinus infection. I took a lot of drugs to be here today. Claritin, my asthma inhaler. So you're going to have to forgive me if I'm sort of coughing through this, but I would not miss this. So much that I need to say to you guys and explain. So remember when I told you that I had noticed an oddity about September 10th regarding the amount of young men who were alone in the crowd and were wearing maroon shirts? And then, of course, the neocons tried to mock me. Ha ha ha, maroon shirt. She's going crazy. It's a part of her dream. Yeah, okay. We know they only ever laugh when you are onto something and only panic and repeat things like that when you're onto something. And I told you I just happen to be really good at puzzles. I really was in a gifted program for putting together pieces and noticing things. I'm a great noticer, always have been. And it did look to me like our army regiments were organizing by color, but in plain clothes. And people back home gratefully confirmed my suspicions. They wrote us emails and said, yeah, Candace, when we do things overseas and we're undercover, we do organize in that manner. Well, you guys, it turns out that I was indeed right. And no one will ever convince me that the deep state did not organize Charlie Kirk's assassination after this. Welcome back to Candace.
What? Hey guys, we're gonna have a military intel team. Go into we're gonna have a sniper shoot Charlie, but we're also gonna have a half dozen military personnel, military intel guys who are gonna be a part of the operation, who are gonna go stand in the crowd. Why? Why?
Made here an emotional about the brands that I work with, and Nimi is one that I actually use. Clean little things that stood out to me immediately as odd, particularly pertaining to the audience that came to see Charlie Kirk. I told you guys first and foremost, there were way too many older people, not enough students. That struck me as odd. Then there were outfits and colors and behaviors. There was a large presence of people that were wearing bright colored hats, not the ones that Charlie threw out, but I noticed that. There were boys that were wearing their socks high and wearing black pants. I noticed that. I actually have all of this organized into folders. And most...
Too many old people at a conservative rally. There were people in maroon shirts like they were a part of a clandestine military unit to identify each other quickly in the crowd. There were many teenagers wearing high socks. What? What the fuck is happening? What the fuck is this? Dude, hold on. I'm just reorganizing my notes.
Odd of all to me were the young men who all were apparently alone, too many of them, who chose to wear a maroon shirt on this day. Just not a top color that men tend to wear. I'm not saying they never wear it, but there were too many of them wearing it. And again, what bothered me about this, aside from the sheer amount, was the fact that they were all solo. They weren't amongst a group of friends, and I'll show you what I mean here. There's three right there in a row. You could see three guys just wearing a maroon shirt on a college campus, all of them, again, alone. We can go through this. Here's another person wearing a maroon shirt. Here is another person wearing a maroon shirt. Here is another person wearing a maroon shirt. This guy.
Oh my God, dude, I'm so excited. My mic is not even picking me up. What is the shooting at Utah Valley University? What is Utah Valley University's school colors? Green and white. Okay, so it's not green and white, but like motherfuckers do be wearing red shirts. Like that's for sure. like, Motherfuckers do be wearing red shirts. That is absolutely fucking true. Hedonic Samuel for $5 says, I'm convinced Candace has a bunch of little rascals in her chat pretending to be experts just to mess with it. I fucking hope that, dude, I hope half the info she is getting is legitimately like people fucking with her. Because that is crazy pants. Wait, is Anonymous here? I don't see Anonymous. Grassroots literally says true. Oh, there he is. There he is. Long socks are for kissing the homies only. Dude, Anonymous, Grassroots said it was your birthday. So I've sung for half a dozen people on this channel. If you want me to sing for your birthday, let me know. It will not be slutty. It will be a normal birthday song. Let me know.
Guy who gave us all the footage, I found him to be remarkably suspect, and his son was wearing a maroon shirt. This is another person in the audience just wearing a maroon shirt. Again, all alone. This guy wearing a maroon shirt. All alone wearing a maroon shirt. Wearing a maroon shirt. Now, I'm not saying every single one of these people didn't just happen to wear a maroon shirt, but...
University of Utah colors are red, and people go to SLC in Provo all the time. Yeah, motherfuckers do be wearing red shirts, for sure. And what I'm going to say, too, is like, okay, what was this guy's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What was this guy's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What was this guy's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What was this guy's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What was this guy's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What was this guy's role in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? What were these three guys' roles in the assassination? Dude, it's literally just motherfuckers wearing red shirts. Bro, what the fuck? What?
Again, too many. I actually thought maybe it's the school colors. That's what I thought, because that's how it's not often for men to wear a maroon shirt. So I thought, oh, maybe it's just the school colors. And they're all
I need some water because I am going to be dehydrated and freaking the fuck out by the end of this. So I'll be right back. I need some water. Holy shit.
just like kind of getting it down at the union, so to speak. That would make sense. But nope, UVU's colors, it turns out, are green and white. I also noticed that the men that were alone, they had a particularly athletic build. So I thought kind of they could be in the military. And then, making matters even more strange, I caught in the corner of one of the videos that was released, which shot the moment after Charlie was shot, there were a group of guys who were sort of fumbling amongst each other, and one of them is just holding a maroon shirt. I kid you not. Take a look at this clip here. And I think we've circled it. You'll see this guy is going to be in the front there, that action. He's just holding a maroon shirt. Like, I'm just like, what's going on? Do people just carry maroon shirts on campus? Are we changing into a maroon shirt? It's just a little suspicious to me. Okay? He's just holding a maroon shirt. Like, what's going on? Make that make sense. Maybe it does make sense. There could be a reason. As I said, it's just something that I happened to notice and had wondered if people were getting change, if there was some sort of organization there. Anyway, check this out. Do you guys remember the guy who strangely stood up and began cheering shortly after the sound of the shot went off? And it immediately became sort of this dominating news feature. It was pushed everywhere as symbolic of how, you know, leftists love death and destruction, and he's like so excited that he's dead or Charlie has been hurt. To be frank, in retrospect, it registers to me as another major distraction point. As people began looking for clues, suddenly everybody's focused on this individual who is gone mainstream for allegedly cheering, and we were told his name was David Sprague. Take a look at this. Okay, so like I said, he was subsequently identified as David Sprague. He came out, he did an interview clarifying that he wasn't cheering because Charlie was hurt. Actually, he was trying to push the crowd into a patriotic cheer or something that's not relevant. That's not what I'm exploring today. It never sat right with me immediately. One, because he was, in my view, a part of that inexplicably older crowd, dressed super young, but in his 40s, somehow attracted to attend this event.
Wow. Old people at conservative events. Weird. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to make these chronological. An old guy tried to do a patriotic cheer like Trump after Trump got shot, but it was cringe and didn't work. Candace doesn't like that. Dude, who the fuck is watching this? Like, who is watching this shit and fucking getting convinced? Who is watching this shit and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. There was a guy doing a patriotic cheer in the crowd. Clearly the Jews did it. Where's the through line?
Beyond that, it was because he and his friend looked remarkably shady to me and to other people who were attending, who were emailing us saying, you need to look into these umbrella boys, like these boys that showed up and were like huddling under an umbrella. That was David Sprague and the person that accompanied him at this event. And that did feel very strange and it stood out as odd. Take a look here. There he is, right there. And they just are under those umbrellas while Charlie is beginning his event.
Okay. Parapluie is the French term for an umbrella. You know what a parasol is? A parasol is for the sun. Para means for. So a parapluie, pluie means rain. So for rain is one of the things that people fucking use umbrellas for. For the sun is another reason why people use umbrellas in extremely bright climates. I think you're a pussy. I think you should get skin cancer like the rest of us if you use a parasol. But I think the guy who she is showing
while Charlie is beginning
under this parapluie / parasol is fucking bald. He's bald as shit. Look at that fucking pasty ass white fucking skin. Look at there being no hair down around his fucking ears. This motherfucker is bald and pale, and therefore he does not want to get fucking skin cancer. Therefore, he brought his gay umbrella to the rally. That's okay. If you're a little gay boy and you're scared of skin cancer, it's okay for you to use your fucking parasol. Okay? But once again, two dudes had fucking sunbrellas in the crowd. What the fuck does that have to do with Charlie Kirk getting shot? What the fuck is this? What is happening? Anonymous for 5 says, Candace gonna have me second guessing what I was doing the day Charlie was shot. I don't even remember what I was doing that day. Israeli flag. Okay.
beginning his event. The third point about him probably registered to me as the oddest, okay? David Sprague is not his original name, like at all. We learned that his actual birth name is James Norman Rawlinson Jr. Well, I don't like when men change their names, full stop. So I reached out to him and I had a conversation with him, and he claimed that he had legally changed his name recently because he wanted separation from his father. He claimed And I want to be clear, I have been completely unable to confirm this. He claimed that his father got in trouble for child abuse, for harming children. And so that's why he sort of rinsed himself of that identity, which I will say, by the way, child abuse has also been a common theme in this story, particularly as it pertains to decoy boys, right? One of them got in trouble, George Zinn, for child pornography. And then when somebody in David Sprague's or James Rawlinson's orbit reached out to me, they told me that he had a pornography issue. Again, I can't confirm that about him. Not interested in pulling that thread if he's addicted to pornography. And similarly, I thought it was weird that I could not find, if your father had committed a crime, why I can't seem to find that anywhere registered. What I was able to confirm is that James Rawlinson Jr. himself was indeed in the military. We found that out early on. He joined Army boot camp in 2011. He was promoted to a corporal and or specialist at the beginning of 2014 for the Utah National Guard. Okay, so that's Army still. But to be clear, because this was somewhat confusing to me as a person, as you all know, I know very little about the military. Please, if I misspeak, do not send me 1,000 emails about it. It's going to be fine. But the Army has an air division. So that was very confusing for me because I thought anything air was Air Force. It is not. The Army has an air division and they are parachutists. Then I learned from watching Baron Coleman's show last night something crucial as we were trying to connect a certain dot about him. It's very crucial that James Rawlinson had admitted via X during this time when he was talking to people like me and other people about who he was in a conversation that he was particularly a Maroon Beret. Take a listen.
I want peace, but not for those who don't want peace. I was in the 19th Special Forces. I have wings and wore a red beret. I own the night and feel the oppressed. I push with my brothers. I stood for Charlie. I am crazy and fast. Oh, and it looked like a total setup. No ambulances at an event like that? And a high-power rifle that sounded like a 22? No, make that make sense.
This is just schizophrenia. I'm convinced that the deep state killed Charlie Kirk. There are too many old people at a conservative rally. There were people in maroon shirts like they were a part of a clandestine military unit to identify each other quickly in the crowd. There were many teenagers wearing high socks. An old guy tried to do a patriotic cheer like Trump after Trump got shot, but it was cringe and didn't work. Candace doesn't like that. The cringe guy is former Army, was hiding under a parasol like a skin cancer afraid pussy, and he used to be in a parachute regiment that wore red berets. Therefore, maybe he's a part of the maroon t-shirt guys? Question mark? What? What the fuck is happening? Grassroots says, look, until someone shows me the president of France's wife doesn't have a penis, I'm 10 toes down that everyone wearing high socks is a murderer. Honestly, man, based off of watching Candace, I feel like that's what she's trying to communicate to you. I swear to God, I have no idea what the fuck this bitch is talking about. It's been 10 minutes. She said absolutely fucking nothing, and she has 1.3 million views. How is this possible? How is this bitch a fucking multimillionaire? She has said nothing. Oh, dude, I'm gonna get skin cancer for sure. I think part of the reason why I'm talking shit about fucking skin cancer so much is because I'm gonna get it for sure. Okay. Okay. All right. We're still got. Rodney Hobbs says I'm losing IQ points. I might have to dip out. Listen, man, we got 30 minutes left. Okay. If you can't hang with brain damage for 30 fucking minutes, I understand completely. But you know, we're kind of on this path, so I'm gonna continue to absorb fucking brain damage on your behalf.
Yelled USA, and everyone was so busy with their moronic outrage that they failed to see any of the important details. I've already talked to the FBI. I hope they're on our side.
he spoke to the FBI, and he specifically claims that he was in the, or is in the 19th Special Forces, okay? That he wore the maroon beret. Now, I'm going to tell you why that deeply matters. Foremost, the 19th Special Forces group, you should know, is in the National Guard. So that totally tracks with what we dug up about him. Plus, they are headquartered in Lehi, Utah at Camp Williams. Camp Williams is 20 minutes down the road from where Charlie was murdered from this event. Particularly the 19th Special Forces is one of 2 Army National Guard Special Forces units. They are known as Green Berets, the 19th Special Forces, but they operate part-time while also maintaining civilian careers. This is because they specialize in unconventional warfare. That's what he is saying, what he is claiming when he says that he is 19th, okay? The 19th Special Forces. But you will note that he says he wore the maroon beret. Now, in order to become a Green Beret, 19th Special Forces, you have to have already earned the maroon beret. You have to have worn, I guess, at some point the maroon beret, because that's really a parachutist qualification. And so basically you would be a maroon beret on your way to becoming a Green Beret. I think I understand that correctly. If I don't, you don't need to send me 3,000 emails, but you cannot be a Green Beret without having received the Maroon Beret certification. Particularly the U.S. Army's 19th Special Forces Airborne routinely deploy, of all places, to Romania to conduct unconventional warfare. They train with the Romanian Special Operations Force, working alongside NATO allies. So to make this all very clear to you, the National Guard Special Forces men, they're living and stationed in Utah. They pick up and they head to Romania and join NATO allies to train in unconventional warfare. So this includes, of course, other nations, right? The UK, France, NATO, just countries that are in NATO.
Is she about to go for Israel? Bruh, is she about to say that, like, Israel participates in, like, cross training in Romania? Please, God, tell me that the Mossad recruited the 19th Special Forces group fucking in order to go look at Charlie Kirk getting shot in the fucking face? Where are we going with this? Anonymous for 5 says the blood vessels behind your eye would like to have a word about the skin cancer cream. For sure. For sure. I'm just saying, like, what are we betting that it's about to be the Jews? It could not be the Jews. I don't know. But I'm wondering if it's going to be the Jews.
Put it that way. Now, someone sent me a photo, and this is where it gets super interesting, of who they claimed is our James N. Rawlinson in Romania. And I do believe it is indeed him, stationed there in late 2023, going into 2024 in Romania. You will note, by the way, that that's the same time that Curtis Colvett, Andrew Colvett's brother, who was, I believe, Nevada National Guard, running as a lieutenant colonel for the Nevada National Guard, the military police, he was also in Romania in this year as well. But this photo I'm going to show you of who his person alleges is David L. Rawlinson is in 2023 in Romania as a part of Task Force 82 at the joint base in Constanta, the one that we're familiar with, the Mihail Kogolnisono Air Base. I can't really say it right. Here it is. I'm showing you this article, and you can see, I don't know if we can get a closer picture there, that James would be on the right-hand side, again, shaved, wearing the maroon beret. Now, I want to be clear that I reached out to James in an attempt to confirm this because I had already had a line of communication. He replied to me. I asked him 5 separate times if he had served overseas in Romania, whether his father had served overseas. I'm wondering why I can't find these alleged crimes that he is telling me his father committed. Maybe it's because it happened on an airbase, which we would not be able to find them through these regular means. Maybe his father was in the military, maybe he wasn't. And even though he was responding to me, he refused to provide an answer to these questions. So That's what I will tell you. I feel that this is accurate given everything that I'm looking at about who he says he was. You will note also in that photo, like I said, he's wearing a maroon beret. So this could predate him having become a Green Beret. And as a Maroon Beret, he would particularly have been a part of the 82nd Airborne Task Force 82, an elite, rapidly deployable unit capable of deploying anywhere in the world in just 18 hours, with just 18 hours notice. So they get the call, they get up, they go, and they deploy. Now, I want to be clear that I wasn't hallucinating, okay? When I look at what I saw that day, there were, in fact, military units that were in plain clothes that were organized by colors, by hats, on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination. I just want to say that as a fact. That's just now a fact, absolutely. And you now have to...
No, it's not. What? You just showed me a bunch of pictures of dudes in red shirts, bro. You just showed me a bunch of pictures of dudes in red shirts. That's not a fact. you haven't established shit.
To ask yourself is, why are there so many roads that keep leading to Romania? Is it possible that so many roads, as we look into a story...
Dogs barking, I'll be right back.
...of an assassination that happened in Utah keeps somehow bringing us back to Romania? The mysterious plane that took off that day, when it immediately followed the assassination, when people were asking questions, we never got to learn who was aboard that plane. The plane that was previously registered in Romania, currently owned for a couple that has a charity for trafficking victims. Okay. Erica herself setting up a charity in Romania for orphanages, working with the military to do so, with the Marines on that very base. Tyler Boyer having lived in Romania, particularly partying with models. We showed you that. It's what he claimed. In Constanta, right where the military base is. Him also being involved in helping orphans. Philip Goldsberry Jr., the last person to Mike Charlie. Of course, we then learn his dad began a global ministry that worked with orphans in Romania, teaching them basic hygiene. That's what pastors do or something. I guess there's just not enough orphans in America, kids in America that need help. It's just really the Romanian ones that need help. Disastrous areas, post-war areas, when everything is absolutely crazy and criminals run the land, it turns out they really need our help. And of course, how could we forget Jeffrey Epstein, right? Him having trafficked girls from Romania, a country that I think is named the most in his emails. Let's discuss something about Jeffrey Epstein, because I've been knocking at this for a while. I've been telling you that Erica seems to have been floating around his life in a very strange way. Even Trump being upset with Charlie, wanting him to stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. There appears to be a solid connection from the modeling world and Jeffrey Epstein to Erica Kirk. And you guys, I have to say, I can't believe I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. I was absolutely freaking out when I realized that I missed this. So you may or may not know the name.
But Simo for 5 says, play the "you don't get to ask those questions" Candace clip. They're saying it grips like a pit bull biting a toddler. But is that where she's doing like her ASMR shit? Because that I'm not gonna lie, that shit fucking skeeved me out. What was it? Fucking Candace Owens, you don't get to ask those questions. All right. Yes, this is the creepy ASMR shit. Hold on. Hold on to your boners real quick.
You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared? You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared?
There you go.
Name Jean-Luc Brunel. If you don't know who that is, you should watch the series that we were working on, the Epstein series. It's positively disgusting. He's one of the more sinister characters in the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking and rape scandals. December of 2020, Jean-Luc Brunel was arrested at the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. Obviously, down went Epstein, down went his network, and down went Jean-Luc Brunel. He was taken into custody on counts of rape and sexual assault on a minor under the age of 15, rape and sexual assault on a minor over 15, sexual harassment, criminal associations, human trafficking to the detriment of minor victims for the purposes of sexual exploitation. Now, when that court case, which they tried to hush up, that Virginia Giuffre had against Ghislaine Maxwell, when that got unsealed, it was revealed that she said that Epstein had bragged that he had slept with over 1,000 of Brunel's girls, referring to the modeling agency that he ran. And what also became public was that for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday, Jean-Luc Brunel flew out 12-year-old triplets from Paris to Epstein to have his way with them. 12-year-old triplets from Paris, okay? Like I said, positively disgusting, a true villain. And why were him and Jeffrey Epstein so close? Well, because in 2005, Jeffrey Epstein gave him the seed money for him to start the modeling agency MC2 in Paris, okay? Of course, where were the models scouted from? Eastern Europe. Apparently, there's also no other place to scout models from but a war-torn Eastern Europe, following the Yugoslav wars. But what I had somehow missed is Jean-Luc Brunel, what he was doing before Epstein gave him that money.
I'm going to do, somebody said 1.5. That's what I listened to Slop at. I'm going to do 1.15.
Honestly, I'm so shocked I missed this. Jean-Luc Brunel had legs in the United States of America. He was actually the founder, alongside his brother Arnaud Brunel, of a modeling agency in New York City. One called Next Modeling Management. Yes, the one run by Faith Cates, where Erica Kirk was mysteriously involved in quote-unquote modeling apartments. Jean-Luc Brunel and his brother founded the Next Model Corporation. And from
Okay, sorry. I gotta put this in. Erica Kirk modeled apartments? Is that what she said? For an agency created by the Brunels called Next Modeling Agency? So sorry, like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? What the fuck am I supposed, what am I don't number one, I don't even know if this is true. Number two, is the insinuation that Erica Kirk was a part of the Jewish Epstein Zionist sweeping conspiracy, and she was like a honeypot to get Charlie Kirk to be permanently pro-Zionist because she worked for a modeling agency that was founded by some French pedophiles a while ago who were friends with, I'm assuming Jeffrey Epstein was a Zionist. And then as a result, when Charlie Kirk was moving away from Israel, the guy who worked at TPUSA knowingly mic'd him up with an explosive microphone to blow out his fucking neck in order to get Charlie to not be critical of Israel in public. What? What is happening? Grassroots for 10. I like the idea that all these nations were collaborating to kill Charlie Kirk, but it was so cumbersome and confusing. The military furry contingency just got frustrated, jumped the gun, and shot him. Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't that be hilarious if basically like everything that Candace is saying is true, and like Israel was planning on assassinating him, and the 19th Joint Special Forces Army operations were there to monitor the assassination and all that kind of stuff. But then who is it? Tyler Robinson fucked it up and jumped the gun and killed him. Like, what is happening? Don't worry, guys. We only have to suffer for another 20 minutes, okay? Don't worry about it. 20 more minutes of suffering. Abe Dinkaso, is this case going to be open and shut or no? I mean, I think so far. I mean, no offense to the conspiracy theorist guy. I think we have one or two in chat, but Lance Twiggs, Tyler Robinson's roommate, said that he lived with Tyler. He gave him a Dremel to inscribe the bullets, didn't ask what it was about. He was talking about taking a hunting trip for an extended period, so he didn't give a shit what he was doing. He left early on the day of the shooting. He left an automated message on the day alluding to the incident. He left a note on his keyboard for his lover. The night after the shooting, he came home and was pacing back and forth and confirmed that he had done the shooting and that he was going to turn himself in. He said he was going to confess to his parents and then to the police. And then when shown closed circuit television footage, he confirmed that that looked like Tyler Robinson. So, like, here we have like a very straightforward narrative that kind of corroborates the fact that Tyler Robinson was the shooter. Whereas with Candace Owens, we have the deep state killed Charlie Kirk. There was a lot of old people at a college conservative event. That there were people in maroon shirts like they were a part of a clandestine military unit so they could identify each other quickly in the crowd. There were many teenagers wearing high socks. After Charlie was shot, an old guy tried to do a patriotic cheer like Trump did after Trump got shot, but it was cringe and it didn't work. The cringe guy is a former army guy who was hiding under a parasol, like a pussy who's afraid of skin cancer, and he used to be in a parachute regiment that wore red berets. The red beret unit deployed to Romania. Romania is where the Epsteins like to sex traffic fucking children out of. And then Erica Kirk is she worked for the modeling agency that the Brunels created in the United States. Therefore, she was like a Zionist honeypot to keep Charlie Kirk pro-Israel. And when he was no longer pro-Israel, that's when he needed to die. So, and then also by implication, Charlie Kirk wasn't shot. Another Romanian-affiliated TPUSA employee rigged him up with an explosive microphone. It wasn't a bullet. It was his microphone exploding his neck, made to look like a bullet. Old School for Five says, Owens and Maddow could put a show together, a banger conspiracy thing. They could call it Stringboard. I mean, I might watch it on occasion. Anonymous for Five says, this video would be 10 out of 10 with a Charlie Day voice dub without even a cameo. 5 out of 10 is the best I can do, boss. It's all good. This is fucking brutal. This is brutal. But we got 20 minutes left to suffer. So let's suffer for another 20 minutes. Holy shitballs. I'm going to have to expand my Candace Owens conspiracy page. I feel like she's pointing to all these like mildly connected things. And then she's doing the Tucker Carlson thing where she's just jacking us off. She's just asking questions until we lose our fucking minds. So, Candace, I would appreciate it if you stopped just asking questions us off, and if you actually made some firm assertions. I'll make some. At the end of this, I'll do like a summary of what I think she's implying, because what she's implying is absolutely fucking insane.
From that spun the Next Model Management modeling agency. Kate took a piece of that as well, and they were working together. And it's going to get even crazier than this, okay? It was later discovered that underage foreign models who were recruited from MC2 were being housed in apartments that were owned by Jeffrey Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein's brother. while they were awaiting work visas, which made them uniquely susceptible to abuse. So you're living in their houses. And this is precisely what the people with direct knowledge of Erica's involvement with Next Model Management claimed that she was in charge of, modeling apartments for underage models. Okay. This, I believe, would explain her real estate contribution, right? What we got was a white building on the Upper East Side in the 60s. We were told, interestingly enough, we discovered that Mark Epstein owned just such a building. We had wondered if that was a specific white building, which was run by him, owned by him, pardon me. And I want you to be clear, the model apartment system is not a fringe theory. It's a fact. In fact, there is a current class action lawsuit that's making it.
Okay, I had an ex who was a model. She was very pretty. She also had antisocial personality disorder. Who knew? And she told me about modeling apartments because that's what you do when you do international shoots. So let's say, I think she said she was in France for a while. So what happens is models, some of them teenagers, some of them adults, but, you know, bear in mind there are teenage age models, right? For various fashion industries. It's kind of common for, like, what is the average model? Okay, let's do this. What is the average age of fashion models? 16 to 21 years old. Okay. So, she was like 18. She got recruited when she was like 18. And what they would do is they would have apartments where basically they would get a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and they would have roommates, and they would have 2 to a bedroom. That way they could save on rent while they were doing international shoots. But as a model, it's pretty cool to be a young person flown to another country, have your living paid for, be living with other young, beautiful people, go do your job, and then when you're done with your job, you can go party. And so it's kind of like a frat bro system. At least that's kind of like the way she was describing it was like, yeah, it was kind of a pain in the ass because you had roommates and this, that, the other. But it was also cool because, you know, once you were done working, you could go party. And I'm sure like the age thing is awkward. But I feel like Candace is implying that Erica Kirk was like a madam, that she was basically in charge of managing the model apartments, and therefore she was like Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel's madam, and was therefore a honeypot in order to keep Charlie Kirk a Zionist. That's what I feel is being implied. Erica Kirk was a madam for Jean-Luc Brunel's modeling company, and therefore was a honeypot to keep Charlie Kirk pro-Zionist and unquestioning about Jeffrey Epstein. That you know, that's what I feel is being implied. Anyways.
Its way through the court system right now against Next Model Management. They're named as the defendant alongside MC2, Jean-Luc Brunel's agency, named as defendants. And the crux of a lawsuit is how they would put these models, these underage models, in these quote unquote model apartments. I don't know if we can click through and show that somewhere, if you are able to pull that up so people can follow this lawsuit. But they're saying they were charged, the models are saying that they were effectively charged for staying in the apartments by having their pay deducted for working for the modeling agencies. Paychecks deducted up to 70%, which kept them dependent as underage workers while the industry completely controlled their work, completely controlled their money, their access, their housing. Like I said, Jean-Luc Brunel, who is now dead, and MC2 and ran MC2, Faith Cates, Next Model Management, which he started with Faith Cates, are both listed as defendants in these allegations, which span back decades. It also covers the time in which Erica was allegedly working with the firm. Starts in, like, one model says in 2002. I was there. So I'm going to ask a question now that is on everyone's minds at this point. Was Charlie Kirk murdered by the state, the deep state, to protect Epstein's global trafficking network? Because that would sensibly pull together all.
What? The Epstein Transparency Act was passed by the House of Representatives and the Senate in November 18th and 19th, 2025. It was officially signed into law by President Donald Trump November 19th, 2025. When was Charlie Kirk killed? September 10th, 2025. I don't know. It kind of feels to me that the fucking Epstein Transparency Act that was passed by both fucking houses of Congress is more of a concern than Charlie Kirk saying online, hey, I have a lot of questions about the Epstein stuff, but I'm gonna trust the administration. And I'm not gonna talk about it until we get updates from the administration. Are you fucking shitting me? This is a ooh, okay.
All of the threads here, the themes of France, of course, the United States, and Israel. The Rothschilds being Jeffrey Epstein's employers. Jeffrey Epstein, his French Ghislaine Maxwell, the Maxwell family, his modeling world through which he trafficked victims from Eastern Europe, from impoverished, war-torn areas. Jean-Luc Brunel's model agency, by the way, I should mention, still operates in Tel Aviv, by the way. The Rothschilds pride themselves on having created the state, the modern nation of State of Israel out of whole cloth. This can't all be a coincidence. It cannot all be a coincidence. Now we are learning that there are global forces that were in the audience that day. Like I said, I knew that from the very beginning. That is what was happening. It was a military operation. I believe, I think the people who watch the show believe back at home that Charlie was targeted. I do not believe, and I want to be clear here, that his relationship with Erica Kirk was ever real. I'm firm on that point now.
Jesus. Okay. So hold on. Because this woman is horrible at organizing her fucking thoughts. So let me see if I can kind of summarize her shit real quick. Because it looks like Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel were ephemophilic sex traffickers during the 80s, 90s, and thousands, and used their modeling bona fides to lure and sexually abuse underage girls. Erica Kirk was employed by Jean-Luc Brunel's modeling agency as a madam who ran the apartments for underage models. Erica Kirk was a Zionist, conservative honeypot who seduced Charlie in order to make sure that as a prominent conservative commentator, he would remain pro-Israel and also help sweep the Epstein debacle. When Charlie started questioning the state of Israel, one of his TPUSA employees, in coordination with American Special Forces, rigged his microphone as a miniature explosive, which then detonated into his neck, ultimately killing him in front of a crowd of thousands. Then Charlie's chief of security exaggerated his medical response to seem cool on the internet, but he's part of it too. And then I think that's what I got so far. Isn't that fucking crazy? Like, I see it. If this was a movie, we could make this a movie, but this doesn't line up with the evidence that's being talked about by Lance Twiggs. It doesn't line up with the forensic evidence at all. It's incredibly convoluted. It involves a bunch of players that do not need to be involved. It brings in like questionable technology that I don't even think would necessarily achieve the results. And why would you kill Charlie in front of like fucking thousands of people, making him a martyr and bringing in like skepticism about the nature of his death? Why wouldn't you just like, I don't know, kill him in a fucking car accident or like a fake robbery or some shit? If your whole goal was to silence Charlie and make people not question the Zionist narrative, why wouldn't you just fucking do like stage a fake robbery and then kill him during the fake robbery? Why would you kill him in front of it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It literally makes no goddamn sense. Unless you're an 80 IQ dipshit. We have 7 minutes left. So let's enjoy just a touch more schizophrenia before we wrap up.
Okay. Charlie was targeted. Rather, I would say his life was exactly what the Mossad agents described to 60 Minutes in their interview, their ability to infiltrate, whereupon they cast themselves as the actors, the directors. You guys remember this clip. Take a listen.
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel, shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors. We're the producers. We're the main actors. The world is our stage.
So the company in Taiwan, Gold Apollo, did they know that they were working with people from Mossad?
Gold Apollo had zero clue that they are working with the Mossad.
And neither did Hezbollah.
When they are buying from us, they have zero clue that they are buying from the Mossad. We make like Truman Show. Everything is controlled by us behind the scene. In their experience, everything is normal. Everything was 100% kosher, including businessmen, marketing, engineers, showroom, everything.
This is what I believe Charlie Kirk's life became. A bunch of people who infiltrated, surrounded him. He had no idea that he was living the Truman Show. They controlled everything. They cast people into his life, people that he thought were there to grow his organization for good means because they believed in free markets and capitalism, whereupon they were working together to just produce and follow a script that runs back to Tel Aviv. I believe I correctly put the pieces together of Charlie's assassination very early on. I think that's why they are deploying people and have been steady deploying people full-time in an information war against me. That's our Department of War that's behind that. Did you know these people that full-time make videos about Candace Owens, like Graham Allen? Did you know what he was doing right before Charlie died? His official title was Senior Consultant to the Department of War. Now he's allegedly moved to Arizona to full-time assist Turning Point USA in their information war regarding Charlie's assassination. The Department of War being the same department which referred to Erica as their emotional assets mysteriously on the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. That wasn't the same department which we've discovered paid Paramount Not So Tactical, another full-time.
Okay, I'm good. That was a sufficient amount of schizophrenia for me. I am okay. I am good. So, what I would say in summary is that Lance Twiggs' testimony is very straightforward. He lived with Tyler. Tyler engraved the bullets using a Dremel within their own household. He didn't ask about the shooting. Allegedly, according to him, they didn't talk about politics much. They didn't talk about trans identity much. That feels like a little bit of a self-sweep where, in my opinion, Lance Twiggs doesn't want to be targeted by the public or by the government for either persecution or prosecution. And so they're minimizing their relationship and what they talked about. Hedonic Samuel says, back to work 07. Have a great weekend, Coggers. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate you. So that feels like a little bit of a self-sweep. But then the forensic evidence or the testimonial evidence that they would point to leading to him being the shooter is they had an automated message alluding to the incident on the day of. They left a note on their keyboard. They came home after the shooting and they were pacing back and forth and extremely nervous and anxious. They confessed to the crime. Then they said that they were going to confess to their parents and then confess to law enforcement after that. Whereas what Candace is saying, because I wrote down all the things that she asserted in this narrative, but I think that we need to kind of like infer what she's saying. Is she saying Jeffrey Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel were ephebophilic sex traffickers during the 80s, 90s, and 1000s who were politically connected and used their modeling bona fides to lure and sexually abuse underage girls? Erica Kirk was employed by Jean-Luc Brunel's modeling agency as a madam who ran the apartments for underage models who were then sexually abused. Erica Kirk was a Zionist conservative honeypot who seduced Charlie Kirk in order to make sure that as a prominent conservative commentator, he would remain pro-Israel and also sweep for the Epstein debacle. When Charlie started questioning the state of Israel, one of his TPUSA employees, in coordination with American Special Forces who were in the audience at the time of his assassination, rigged his microphone as a miniature explosive device, which then detonated into his neck, ultimately killing him in front of a crowd of thousands of people. Charlie's chief of security exaggerated his medical response to seem cool on the internet, but he's part of it too. I'm sorry, that just like, dude, maybe I'm coping. Maybe Candace Owens is the most like clear-sighted, clairvoyant, third eye open, fucking chakras aligned human being on the planet, and I'm the one that's coping. But this sounds dumb as fuck. This sounds like a movie script to me. This sounds like fucking people taking disparate clues and linking them together. It does not sound like reality to me whatsoever. And if the Mossad wanted to silence Charlie Kirk, why didn't they freak out about the fucking Epstein files that got voted through Congress unanimously, 2 months later? Why weren't there more people dropping dead in reference to that? Why was that allowed to happen if they have this, like, monomaniacal control of conservative perspectives in reference to the Epstein files? You know, like, I don't fucking know, man. Maybe I'm a dipshit, but that just seems very silly to me. So, let me go ahead and say this. Candace Schizo versus Lance Twiggs. And then I'm going to thank all the people who donated today because we did have a healthy chunk of donations, even though it's a shorter stream. I do want to thank the people who donated. Thank you, Diminished Darknut, for continuing to be an Oiler. I very much appreciate it. But Anonymous Chatter with the 5. Hold on. Let me do this. Anonymous with the 5. Old School with the 5. Grassroots with the 10. Fatsimo with the 5. Anonymous with the 5. Grassroots with the 10. Anonymous with the 5. Hedonic Samuel with the 5. Doobie with the 10. Diminished Darknut with the 50. Thank you, King. Doobie with the 10. Fashion 40 with the 5. Doobie with the 10. Doobie with the 10. Doobie with the 10. Doobie. Nameless Henchman, Old School, Shapingro, Grip Pilled with the 10, and then Fashion 40 with the 5. Thank you, Kings and Queens, not only for your viewership, but also for your financial support. I am going to go take a shower. Then I'm going to drive to a local cafe. I'm going to hang out with a Brazilian woman and have coffee and talk about life. And if we have chemistry, maybe I'll ask her out on a dinner date. If we don't have chemistry, then I'll say, hey, I'm just getting out of a serious relationship and I'm kind of fucked up right now. I don't know if we should be dating at this point, but I appreciate the coffee. Finger guns. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to go socialize with a woman my age. And yeah, we'll take it from there. One of the conspiracies I heard is that he confessed to too many people before talking to police and somehow proves that was fake. Yeah, that's dumb as fuck. Like, for anybody with a conscience, you, like, self-confess out of a sense of guilt. So confessing multiple times makes a shitload of sense. So, yeah, Randy Chang says you're doing it backwards, Connor. It's a Jew's fault, and when they're at fault... Wait. First, what they're at fault for comes later. True. True. I should have operated from Israeli Mossad is responsible. Let's work backwards from that premise. So, Massey made part of the controlled demolition of Epstein's MAGA to set up America First MAGA. Okay. Connor, take her dancing. If we have chemistry, I will. Turns out this Brazilian woman is a Candace viewer. Yeah. Well, Grassroots Hegemon says it's him. He said he's a 500-pound fucking Indian man, and he's fucking gaslighting me. So we'll see. If I show up and it's a 500-pound Indian man, I will be disappointed. But it couldn't possibly be some mentally unwell lad from Utah with his grandpa's hunting rifle. Well, see, and that's my thing. It's like, typically, don't they call that like Occam's razor or whatever? Where it's like, typically what is most likely to have happened is what happened. You know? And so for me, some fucking schizo leftoid working themselves up into a frenzy, believing that Charlie Kirk is a fascist apologist and that he deserves to die, and then taking his grandpa's hunting rifle and sniping him. That seems infinitely more possible than a coordinated military operation involving dozens of people. Yeah. So. Yeah. Apparently he immediately felt guilty and wished he hadn't done it. That's what he told his roommate / lover. He said, yeah, I fucked up. I didn't. I wish I fucking hadn't. Anonymous Shires says, Connor hopping on the big booty Latina, saving our collapsing demographics before the train runs out of track. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to be, dude, I just want to go see if I have chemistry with someone. That's it. That's all it is. Obviously, Melissa's still in the back of my mind, because she's avoidant and I'm anxious. And, I wish that had worked out. I felt like we had something really good going. But I can't sit around waiting for an avoidant person to feel guilty about our breakup and then text me or call me like 4 months later. I'm not waiting around for 4 months. So, I'm not saying that I'm going to like marry the next person I date, but like I'm going to go out on dates. I'm going to go get some coffee. I'm going to hang out. If I have chemistry with someone, maybe we'll hang out more intimately. And if we don't, then that's okay too. So, it's not a big deal. Connor, don't answer any personal questions about Lauren Southern. She might be a Project Veritas plant. True. You know what? That's the new conspiracy theory. Whenever somebody's like, Connor, you're so upset because Lauren Southern, you didn't get your shot with Lauren Southern or whatever. I can be like, no, that's not why I'm upset. I'm upset because she was a part of like a Russian psychological operation, or she was a part of a pro-Israeli psychological operation. She was trying to seduce Stephen into Zionism. Matter of fact, that's why Stephen was so pro-Israel after October 7, 2023, was because Lauren Southern was a Zionist honeypot. And that's why I got upset. I found out about the Zionist honeypot. That's the new talking point. Look for horses, not zebras. Indeed. Never attribute to malice which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Indeed. Again, say como vai to her when you meet her. It's how are you in Portuguese. Yeah, como vai. That's interesting. I speak French, not Portuguese. Lauren Southernstein. Lauren Southernberg. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I need to go get ready. I'm going to go on a coffee date. I'll see you guys later. I hope you had fun. It was a shorter stream, but I hope you had fun. I'll try to be back to the regular schedule next week. Obviously, I'm dealing with VA stuff. I'm dealing with homeowners insurance stuff. I'm dealing with paperwork stuff. I'm dealing with settlement in reference to the divorce. I'm picking up my kids. Like, all sorts of crazy shit is happening. So yeah. Peter will deal with more conspiracy shit next week. Anyways, I personally love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you on Monday at 9:30 a.m. as long as there isn't anything crazy going on. And if there is, I will announce it in Discord.